Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Recruiting Podcast. I'm Alex Rojas, your talent advisor and host. In today's episode, I'm going to give you the recruiter's secret weapon, CRM. That's right, the CRM. I'm going to give you 10 reasons why every company needs a CRM, why you should be investing in one if you haven't done so already. And so I came prepared. I got my secret agent suit here. I'm playing the part because I think this is really critical within the talent acquisition industry. And it's important for companies to realize why there needs to be an investment in this. Now, before we dive into it, I want to make sure that we understand what a CRM is. And for talent acquisition, it means candidate relationship management. And so within sales or lead generation sectors, that also means a customer relationship management tool. They run parallel. Essentially, they're lead generators, prospecting tools. Now, most companies make the mistake and really only invest in an ATS. And an ATS cannot be a CRM. Now, they're starting to do that. Workday is starting to get into this space here where they're rolling out their CRM, but it is in a beta test format right now, and they have a long way to go to become a mature CRM tool. C-level leaders that don't allocate budget for CRMs, they fail. They make it harder for the recruiting teams to really work in a high performance capacity. And for that matter, recruiters that don't advocate and push hard for CRMs within your budget, you fail leadership. You make life difficult for yourselves. So CRMs are going to vary depending on the size of your company, small, mid-size, or large-size enterprise organizations. I think the larger organizations are impacted the most if they don't have a CRM. So if you're doing heavy volume recruiters and recruiting and hiring, and you're building pipeline and talent pools, you need a CRM. So if you're a leader within talent acquisition, you're going to want to see this episode. And if you stick around till the end for my closing commentary, I'm going to also give you the biggest challenges that you need to be aware of as you navigate and determine whether or not you need a CRM in your organization, or maybe you need to switch things up. I am ready. I'm prepared. Let's discuss. Okay, so let's get after the secret weapon, the CRM. Why recruiters need this, why you need to invest in a CRM if you are a company and organization that's making hires and it's building a database. Your ATS is not good enough. You need to advance yourself to a CRM level. Number one, talent pool sourcing. This is all about a prospecting tool. You have a CRM because you are prospecting passive candidates. So it's not an ATS. An ATS is a system of records. It's usually used for applicants that go through the interview process, the hiring, the offer, and onboarding process. That's on the tail end of the full lifecycle process. This is going to be a prospecting tool. And a lot of times when you have a CRM, you can go ahead and do some amazing sourcing within that CRM. There are some CRMs that actually have job board aggregators, meaning you can tie in and integrate some of these job boards that are out there, like a Monster or Career Builder, and they tie into that CRM. So as you're sourcing for positions or sourcing for candidates and building pipelines and prospecting, you don't have to go to these third-party tools and do things separately. So it brings things in. Number two, candidate communications. How important is this? This is so important for CRMs. It brings everything in-house. One of my biggest pet peeves are organizations, that recruiters, where you're emailing on Outlook or you're contacting on social media, and then there's no communication because you're losing communication. Nothing's being documented as far as activity, which makes it difficult for a organization to collaborate and be on the same page. There's nothing more frustrating for candidates when there's lack of communication or recruiters within the same company just aren't on the same page. And so you streamline these these options, it makes it easier to communicate via email, via texting, one-to-one texting, mass texting. E-marketing campaigns are really important. And you even have recruiting bots that now can be leveraged. There are organizations, there are vendors out there, CRM vendors, that are really integrating these different types of communication channels into their systems. Number 3, job advertising. And so this is important because as a visitor to a career site, typically the experience is I'm going to go in, type in a keyword, maybe use some filters, and then it's going to give me a list of job postings. I'm going to go in, read them one by one, and then try to determine which ones are the best fit, and then I'm going to apply. There are options and experiences within these career sites where there's some automation and maybe a little AI where you have some of these job recommendations that pop up. If I'm a cybersecurity engineer, for example, then it'll list similar jobs that I might be interested, kind of like how the Amazon cart works. It also works really well when you're advertising jobs that you can actually post your jobs, whether it's organically or paid through third-party vendors. And these are like the Indeeds or the LinkedIns of the world, ZipRecruiters of the world, that you actually go ahead and filter and flush those things out as well. Number 4, automating repetitive tasks. The automation piece is really important because CRMs give you the ability to do, for example, job board scraping. So maybe you're paying for licenses and you're not downloading as many resumes as you should. The automation and be able to build those campaigns to go ahead and scrape those job boards, maximize your investment on some of these job boards. The CRM plays a critical part in that. As you're using these communication channels that we talked about as far as staying connected with your candidates or your prospects, you can actually storyboard and develop drip campaigns. So that's important as well to be able to do that. And then the other thing as far as automation goes is you can import and export files. So if you're at a third-party platform, for example, on LinkedIn, say you're in a project folder and you have identified 20 potential prospective candidates there, you can actually import them into your system and then you can build profiles in there. And that there is an automation piece that can be done with that. Number 5 on the secret weapon list of CRMs is enhanced application experience, because there's nothing more painful for a visitor to your career site to go through the application process. On average, it can take anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. Workday has a monopoly on this because Workday can get pretty frustrating for a visitor that's trying to apply because of the time invested just to apply for one job. CRM comes in as an overlay or as a facilitator to the ATS, and they can close that gap as far as application process and the integration into an ATS. They can capture some minimal data and build profiles for you, make it a little bit more seamless. So those are your initial 5 reasons why it's important to invest in a CRM. And now let's go ahead and tackle the second part of this top 10 list. Okay, so let's continue this countdown. Number 6, data-driven decision-making. There's nothing more valuable than analytics in any organization, and especially with the CRM. When you leverage the analytics and the dashboard capabilities within CRMs, it's going to give you valuable data that you're going to need. Things like source of hires, or the amount of visitors that are coming to your career site, or the amount of applicants, or the drop-off as far as engagement rates. There's so much more data that ties into CRMs, and again, it depends on the maturity of a particular CRM and what you're spending, but you can get a lot of valuable insights when it comes to the analytics. Number 7, pipeline management. This is going to be different than the talent sourcing, the talent pool sourcing that I mentioned earlier. So this really is about the candidate tracking. How do you track your prospective candidates, right? How do you get through that sort of workflow process that you typically find yourself in? If you don't have workflows, if you don't have tagging systems or even segment target audiences, it really makes it difficult to track a candidate through the process. And so it could be something as simple as like, hey, I've reached out to this prospect 5 times MIA, or I've reached out to this prospect, now let me move them into a new stage, which is future interest pipeline or no interest at all, whatever it might be. But you have to have these prospecting stage workflows in order to track where your prospects or where your talent pipeline is heading. And that's where the management piece really becomes important. Number 8 is going to be better team collaboration. And so what's really great about CRMs is it's a centralized place to gather data. And so when you do that, your teammates, your recruiters, your colleagues, they can all share information and look at notes when it comes to candidate profiles. There's a lot of timestamps. You can see in most CRMs, if you're sending out emails or texts, you can reference historical context on what's been happening, past activity, so that if you need to reach out to another recruiter to find out what's going on, it's great collaboration. And not only that, a lot of CRMs do allow access for hiring managers to be engaged and involved within a CRM as well. Number 9 is going to be employer branding. So when we're looking at employer branding, this becomes really important because recruitment marketing is really important when you're thinking about how do you market your jobs or how do you market your organization or your company. And this is where the e-marketing strategy really comes into play here for organizations. By building consistent levels of communication to your talent community, you're able to build that brand, you're able to nurture the campaigns and use whatever communication channels so that there's an awareness and that there's a brand recognition with your organization, especially if you're a company that's trying to position and fight for branding awareness in the marketplace. Using and leveraging a CRM is going to get you there. It gives you access not only to promote things from a visual standpoint so that you have graphics, photos, links to videos, things of that nature that really help out tremendously. And then finally, the 10th reason why a CRM is a secret weapon is third-party tool integrations. APIs now make it possible for these third-party vendors now to really sync up with your CRM and tap into your CRM, and allows for integrations. And there's all kinds of different business cases, use cases on why you would want to do that. For example, I'm a big proponent for chat technology. Chat technology integrating into CRMs becomes highly important for a lot of organizations. Artificial intelligence tools now are flooding the marketplace. That's going to be an area here where you can integrate into a CRM. And again, I mentioned the programmatic. That is another piece there now where CRMs are starting to leverage programmatic, really use cases here to kind of help track your investment dollars when it comes to spending money on job advertisements with third-party tools as well. So a lot of reasons why a CRM is beneficial when it comes to those third-party tools. And the other thing I would mention too is a lot of times it's a lot more flexibility to integrate into a CRM than it is to integrate into an ATS. A lot more stipulations, again, because it's a system of records, and there's usually, it's held tightly within the HR systems sort of atmosphere or the environment there. So there is your top 10 list, your secret weapon on why CRMs are so effective, and you should be investing in this. If you haven't, put it on your roadmap in 2025 and get after it. Okay, so it's time for closing commentary mindset. I really do enjoy this because I'm able to give you some bonus content and information. And for this one in particular, I want to give you 5 challenges in investing within a CRM. 5 challenges. But before I do that, I cannot stress to you enough the importance of making CRM a number 1 priority, making it a strategic asset for your organization if you're making substantial and significant hires throughout the year. So number 1 on the list as far as the challenges of investing in a CRM is that CRM means that you need a staff to support it. And typically you're going to have a recruitment marketing manager that's going to come in kind of working in a systems administrator capacity. You might have to have some trainers as well on an operations standpoint that are going to have to support that. A lot of times, if you're not that big of an organization, it's going to be recruiters that, raise their hand and say, hey, I want to go ahead and add this to my roles and responsibilities. But the more mature enterprise organizations are going to make those investments to make sure that you're operating the CRM in the same capacity that you would operate and support it at an ATS level as well. Second challenge is going to be adoption. Adoption is an issue for CRMs. It's complex to integrate. It takes a while to integrate a CRM. You're probably looking at, minimum 4 or 5 months, 6 months, maybe even up towards to a year. Again, it depends on the complexities, depends on your ATS. And then there's ongoing operational support. There's enhancements that happen with CRMs and staying on top of that. That's why it's important to have a support staff that helps you manage and facilitate the CRM evolution within your organization. The third reason why CRM is challenging is going to be, the vetting process that you go through and saying, hey, I want a CRM, but which one should I go after? This can be difficult. This can be a process that could take some time. And a lot of times CRMs are trying to be too much for everybody. And so they're trying to add all the bells and whistles to the CRM and they overdo it. And so if you're interested in trying to navigate and try to find a CRM, please DM me, get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to give you a list that I think are CRMs that might be applicable to your organization based on the level and the hiring numbers that you're looking after and the complexities behind it as well. Fourth reason why it's challenging is CRMs can be expensive. That's right. You're going to spend some money on here. It's not going to be quite as much maybe in ATS, or it could be. It really kind of depends on what kind of technology stack that you have in there. But with that, when you invest in the right CRM, there comes an expense even on the customer success side of it. You want to make sure that you have a good CRM that has a team available to you to support you in all the challenges and technical support issues that are also going to come. And then finally, the fifth challenge with CRMs is you have to be able to groom and identify super users within your CRM. And so that means that unfortunately, there are going to be recruiters that are not going to be engaged in the CRM. They're going to be limited activity when it comes to that. And so a lot of times a good benchmark is to get 50% usage out of your CRM, but it's going to fluctuate month to month. You're going to have some super users, some average users, and you're going to have some recruiters that are just not active. They don't want to go ahead and take this CRM out for a spin. Maybe it's too complex. They're overwhelmed. And so that's your top five list on why CRMs are a challenge. And what I would just say to summarize this is, when you invest in a CRM, it's kind of like, all right, I have an ATS, which is my car, my vehicle, and it's functional. But a CRM is really going to be the tires. It's going to be that proactive approach where you take the car out of the garage and you take it for a spin. It's nice. It's got a great paint job. It's got the cosmetics. It's appealing. Eyes are on the car and you're attracting the talent that you really want to go after. That is the difference between a CRM and an ATS. The ability to take it out and be proactive in reaching out your talent community and billboarding and marketing and advertising and branding your company. That is a successful CRM. I hope this episode was informative. Please remember to like, to subscribe, to comment, to share. And remember, until next time, it's all about the mindset.